Thank you. Hello, I'm Dave Ford and this is Logan the Whippet, out once again on a walk in the New Forest. Today we're at the village of Lyndhurst in Hampshire. It's about 9 miles to the west of Southampton. Today we'll be doing a short walk, but a circular walk on the outskirts of Lyndhurst. We're looking to see some evidence of previous uses gone by. We're also going to have a little look inside a lovely church before we start the walk. So, are you ready? He's ready. Let's go. Well, before we start our walk in the country on the outskirts of Lyndhurst, I wanted to show you this church in the centre of the village itself, just behind me. It's isn't that wonderful? Now, can I get it all in the screen? It's the St Michael's and All Angels Church, built between 1858 and 1859. As you can see, it's a Gothic red brick structure, and I can only just about get the whole tower in. The tower is 160 foot high and can be seen for miles around. Should we have a look inside? Let's go. After you. I'm hoping it's open, of course. Oh, phew. Alright. Wow. How about this? How about that for a stained glass window? Beautiful. Have another look around. Ah, now this ahead of us was what I really wanted to have a look at. There's a wonderful fresco here. It was done by a chap called Lord Frederick Leighton, and it's supposed to depict the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. Apparently the characters are based on apparently a load of local people. And again, lovely stained glass. Beautiful. I'm just looking around the organ. Oh, almost looks as though there's two organs. Wow, what a beautiful place. Well, there's a very famous grave that I want to show you that's just beside the church. That of Mrs. Reginald Hargreaves. Now, who on earth is she, I hear you saying? Well, there are plenty of clues in the high street. Let me show you the grave. Just by me here. There we go, the grave of Mrs. Reginald Hargreaves. Aha, the Alice in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Yes. Alice Liddell was her maiden name, and she inspired Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Mrs. Reginald Hargreaves, that was her married name. We've just left the outskirts of the village of Lyndhurst. It's not a big village, a population of about 3,000 or so, but it is considered the sort of administrative capital of the forest. Now you can probably see quite a busy road to my left. That's the A337. Actually, as we were coming through the village, going back to the 19th century, a lot of the roads around here were just dusty tracks or muddy tracks in the winter, and that was until these turnpike trusts were formed. Basically they were formed to maintain the roads in good condition, but of course they used to charge a toll for using the road, and from time to time you'll come across these turnpike or toll houses, and just as we were coming up to or out of the village towards this field, there was this lovely timber framed turnpike cottage. Now it looks like we're just about to be joined by some ponies. So we shall give them a little bit of a berth, I think. But it's a lovely, there's a definite chill in the air. Autumn is certainly with us, that's for sure. A lovely little route across out of the village. And as we're going along, let me tell you a bit more about Lyndhurst itself. It holds what's known as the Verdurer's Court at the Queen's House. It's a sort of a magistrate's court, I suppose you could call it, that's run by 10 verdurers, and they basically control or manage the rights of commoners in the forest. And as I mentioned before, commoners are folk that are allowed to graze their animals free range. And I say the Verdurer's Court works closely with the Forestry Commission as well with regards to conservation of the whole area. Well folks, I'm now going to show you a ditch. Why am I going to show you a ditch? Well, let me just pan round for you. Basically what I'm trying to say is that many areas of the New Forest can be very wet underfoot, and the use of drainage channels, which is what this is, increased, well, I suppose second half of the 19th century was when it really started, and more significantly then following the New Forest Act of 1949, which actually contained provisions designed to increase and maintain grazing area for stock. But it's just what you find from time to time. You'll come across these dead straight channels or canals, and those are man-made. It's just something to look out for. We've just come through a lovely little bit of woodland, and we've now come across this vast expansive area which as you can see is now a golf course, but originally many years ago it was a race course. Racing thought to have started here far back in the late 1770s, although the first recorded meeting of the 19th century took place in 1859. And one of the main races they had each year was called the Cocked Hat Stakes, which is actually still annually run these days at Goodwood Racecourse. And basically the rider had to wear a cocked hat or have the handicap of carrying an extra 6 pounds in weight in their saddle. But racing ceased here in 1880, and since 1890 a fair part of it, as you can see now, is used by the New Forest Golf Club. Well, I guess you have to dodge the ponies from time to time. So we're now going to carry on with our walk, and a fair bit of our walk now is going to be on the outskirts of the forest. So we're going to have wood on one side and then this lovely view of the golf course on the other. Is it all right if I film you busy doing your work?
No. You've got a nice day, you're holidaying?
Yeah, just having a look around.
Yeah, different area, a bit different golf course.
Yeah.
And that with the animals and that, but
someone said this is the second oldest golf course in Hampshire, I believe.
well, it depends which story you believe.
Oh.
Some tell you that it's the first.
Oh, right.
Bramshall claim to be.
Yes.
In that, but some people say that was formed by a breakaway from this club originally.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yes, 1888.
Lovely.
And that, so yes. Yeah.
So, and you're busy putting some sort of, is this seed you're putting down?
A bit of seed and that, and some sand on them just to truate the surface and improve the drainage and that. But
and how often do you have to do that?
We do it sort of, well, predominantly sort of twice a year, in the spring and then again in the autumn.
Lovely.
But
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to have a little bit of a wander around, and I shall keep out the way of anyone playing golf.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a few out that side, and that they're sort of coming through now, sort of thing.
Lovely.
Seniors and that. But
oh well, thank you very much. What's your name, sir? Ian.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Do you play golf?
I don't know. No. I tried pitch and putt once, and that was about it.
That was about as far as it goes.
But I love walking around golf courses, and you say it's a beautiful scene here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's lovely, and as I say, this is how the game started.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest with
Lovely.
you, it was predominantly out on forest land like this, with sort of a little bit that they got a bit shorter.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have a wander around and have a look at I've genned up on a little bit of history of the place, so we'll have a wander around. But thank you very much.
That's okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What a nice chap. Well, they've had a little bit of rain here recently. Oh dear, I don't know what happens if your ball lands in there, Logan. Water hazard, perhaps? Don't know. Oh dear. Now just behind me on the left there's a very deep, thick, wooded area. Now we're not going to go in there. There is actually a stream in there with its source not too far away, and that stream eventually becomes the Bewley River, which is about 12 miles long, I believe, and eventually flows out to the sea near Buckler's Hard. And the strange thing about the Bewley River, it's owned, the entire river, including the bed, is owned by Lord Montagu, which I believe is quite unusual. This looks like we're standing on the 9th tee. I'm sure they won't mind if we have a little wander. I say it's a very pleasant walk, and there's plenty of room on the outside of the golf course itself to have a dog walk. We're filming, I think, 3rd of October, and I might have mentioned already, a little nip in the air. Logan's got his fleece on today, and at least I haven't got to worry about where the sun is and getting my shadow in the picture, which has been a bit of a challenge in a number of my videos recently. This is quite an old wooded area on my left. Oak trees, and look at those acorns. I know it's not unusual to see acorns, but there have been so many this year, and there's still a lot of the red berries of the rowan trees, and a lot of holly in there, which is usually a sign of a very old wood. Well, we're now at the most northerly part of our walk, and the enclosure ahead is called Dunce's Arch enclosure, I believe. But I mentioned before that this was a race course, and it's now a golf course, but it also has another few little bits of history. The New Forest pony sales used to be held here up until the Second World War. They're now held at Bewley Road, and viewers might want to know I've done a video in that in the past. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. And in fact, in the Second World War, the army pitched possibly one of their largest ever camps in the forest, and indeed they did use part of the area for tank practice. But much more peaceful now. Well folks, we're coming to the end of our walk. We're sitting on a lovely bench looking out over the 10th tee on the golf course, I think it is, and we're shortly going to be paying a visit to the 19th tee. We hope you enjoyed our walk. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk in the future on the New Forest. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Right, now, is it my round again? I think it is.